All right, welcome to the podcast. We'll start off where everyone else does. As far as earliest childhood memory, what are we getting into?
I don't know if I have one memory, but my wife's gonna roll her eyes when she listens to this part of the podcast. But I grew up on a farm until I was in third grade.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, I think just kind of growing up on the farm, and I'll embellish it now when I tell stories to the kids, just to, give them a sense of how, different things are, and just to, the back in my day type stories.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good time being out on the farm, just outside, wandering around, feeding the cows, climbing in the hay bins, climbing on the tractors.
Mm-hmm.
It was, my parents rented like a little farmhouse in the back of it. So it was like, I don't know, it was probably 15, 20 acres, something like that. So just,
nice.
Yeah. So just kind of walking around and being outside and just doing random stuff. Yeah. Right. It was
so it wasn't your parents' farm.
No, it wasn't my parents. They rented it. My dad, knew the landlord. And, it was like the big it was in Yorkville, right? Big farmhouse in the front.
Yeah.
Little farm. It was almost like a chicken coop in the back.
Okay.
2 bedrooms, 1 bath, small little thing. And, it was just a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And just being outside, and then you go, climb up in the hay rafters when the hay is stacked real tall, or the owner of the farm had 2 grandsons, and it was an old, grain silo that they used, and they made a rock climbing wall on the inside of it.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So just watching that, I was only 6 or 7, right? So I was never going to climb it, but watching them climb all the way up to the top, some, 8, 10 stories high up was it was a cool experience, cool to watch.
That's very cool. Yeah. So as far as rules that you were given, were you just saying, hey, get out of the house and come back at some point? What were you told? Yeah,
pretty much. Get out of the house and don't go near the highway. We lived off like real busy road, right?
Yeah.
It was Route 71.
Okay.
So, don't go to the highway, don't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, just go outside and explore, right?
Yeah.
And have some fun. And I did. It was a lot of fun.
That's super cool. Yeah. So that was up until 3rd grade?
Yeah. Third grade.
Then what happened after 3rd grade?
3rd grade, we moved over to Sandwich.
Okay.
Grew up in like Holiday,
mm-hmm.
Which was equally as fun. Same rules, get out of the house.
Yeah.
It was nice to be able to just walk over to a buddy's house at that point, instead of, on the farm, there's nobody around,
mm-hmm.
right? No neighbors to walk to, no friends to walk to. So to get over and just like walk across the street to my buddy's house, or walk, cut through the football coach's backyard to get to my buddy's house, that was a lot of fun. But same thing. And then we could, we got older, you ride your bike down to the beach and have fun down at the beach, or the playground and all
mm-hmm.
that sort of stuff. Yeah.
As far as school went, were you just there to hang out with friends? Did you like academics? What was going on there?
I like academics.
Okay.
Yeah. I was valedictorian of the class.
Ooh.
I did sports. I did athletics. I did academics. My mom always really stressed the importance of academics. She was, she was a teacher herself, and in the, she taught in the Illinois Department of Corrections prison system of all places. But, athletics was always, academics. Well, both athletics and academics was always very, very important. So we took that pretty serious.
How did your mom show how important academics was? Was it just because she was a teacher, or was there things that she said or did?
She was a teacher. I remember her going back and getting her master's.
Okay.
My aunt was a teacher. I think my uncle was a teacher at one point, so it's kind of in the family. Yeah. And remember, seeing them going back and getting their masters, and, always, so was, I don't know if you had it when you were growing up, but the pizza, the buckets. Do you remember the Pizza Hut?
Where you had to read a certain amount?
Yeah, you had to read a certain amount, and then you got like the free little pizza.
Okay.
It was always like crushing through those because I wanted that free pizza.
Yeah.
So she just, she made it a priority and showed me how to do math. Actually, on the farm too, there was the owner of the farm. She was, gosh, when we were living there, she was probably in her 90s.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I would go over there, and she was a teacher, like an old school teacher from, well, let's see, she was 90 in the late 80s, so she was probably a school teacher in the 50s, 60s, all that. So she just had a lot of, crossword puzzles and games we would play, and like just old stuff. So I think it was just always kind of there, mm-hmm. kind of around. So
do you feel that academics that you enjoyed, or you just pushed yourself to do well in them?
That's a good question. I think I don't know. I guess I kind of push myself. Like I always feel a little, it came somewhat easy, right? Just kind of memorization and like just memorizing things easy enough. So like the testing wasn't a problem. I really enjoyed math, which like I took math all the way up through high school, actually into college a little bit. That was gonna be my first thing, was being a math teacher. So I enjoyed math. You know, the English wasn't my strongest suit, like spelling. I'm still not a great speller. Like my daughter will ask me to spell something. She's 8. I'm like, you got to go ask your mom, because we can Google it, but I'm not gonna be able to help you spell it. But yeah, then you just kind of push yourself and learn, and you know, it's not fun to do homework, but you got to get it done, right? Like anything else. So
for you, did you have to push yourself to do the homework? Was it relatively easy to do tasks that were boring, or you were able to get it done as needed?
Yeah, it was like, I know I have to get this done. Okay. So just like, we're going to get it done, right? I'm not, you know, it wasn't fun by any means. Like the math I did enjoy. Yeah. The reading in the papers was kind of challenging and kind of cool. I mean, when I had computers at that point, right? So the typing and spell check was all pretty easy, but yeah, you know, you just had to get it done, right? Yeah. And the teachers told you what you had to do and told you when you had to do it by. So it's very simple equation.
I was very much the procrastinator. I remember one time where I indirectly, or just I wasn't reading instructions very well, I did the assignment like a week early. So I didn't have like a week to stress about it. I'm like, oh my God, like this is what being prepared is. This is what doing. This feels amazing. Never did it again after that, but I knew what that feeling was.
It's very freeing, right?
It was wild.
Yeah, at least you had an experience one time.
Yeah, no, I'd be like staying up watching YouTube or playing. I don't know if YouTube was around back then, but playing Call of Duty, and then it was just like I don't feel stressed about like tomorrow. It's like this is wild.
Yeah.
As far as sports went, how did you pick what it was, and how did you enjoy those sports? Both like middle school, high school.
Yeah, so I mean, baseball was like from the start, right? Okay. Just t-ball all the way up through. That was just kind of always around. My mom played softball. Like when I was young, she was in like the softball, you know,
fun
beer rec league. So I probably spent my whole summer for the first like 10 years of my life at the softball diamond, right? It was like, you know, school or daycare when it's the summer, and then softball diamond. Yeah. So baseball was always just there. Really enjoyed that. And then when I got into high school, I played it like once in 1 year of middle school football. Okay. But my size and was, you know, I wasn't going to play anything else. Yeah. You know, so I played offensive line and got into it and enjoyed it. Right. And that was, you know, those are, people always ask my son, he's 6 and he's getting into football, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna have him play football," and I'm really nervous about it, right? Because of the head injuries, right, and he's, you know, he's a little smaller on the smaller side, but I know he'll run full speed at you because he does it for me, but I've always been really nervous on the head injuries, and so I tell people, like, if I go back and do it all over again, I'd do it. I just don't know if I want, you know, my son to play, because it was the best. It was the best memories I had. Like, you get together with my buddies and we still talk about it. You know, when you got ran over by this person in practice and this game and that, and just, you know, a really fun time. But and you know, I think it helped that we had like just, you know, it was a smaller school, so like, even now it's still like football is the thing, right? That everyone goes to. So, so I got in freshman year, I started playing, and then, you know, you kind of get hooked after that when you have a fun season. And then
for sure. Doesn't matter if the team's doing well, it doesn't matter what's going on. If you're having fun with your friends, like that's where we're at. Yeah. I did construction with a guy, and he's like, they put sensors in our kids' helmets. And I think this was like peewee, just really young kids. He's like, what they found was they weren't going fast enough to cause like certain head injuries. I was like, okay, like that's cool. Yeah. But like, if you're not teaching them how to properly hit, going forward, we're not setting them up for success. So I don't know at what age you're not going enough miles per hour that it's going to happen. And hey, what if you get that one big kid out there? Yeah. But I played rugby, and they very quickly taught me how to tackle. So like it wasn't with my head, and a bunch of the guys were wrestlers on the team, so they were really good. Yeah, I only got my bell rung twice, and that was because one guy I tackled with my face, and there's a video out there poorly labeled, so you can't find it. But I hit the guy with my face, and I just fall on the ground. Yeah, and someone behind the camera yells, "Medic!" I stand up. They put whatever in my nose, head back out there. Yeah. But, it's tough to be like, hey, don't do this for your health because this, and this. And then you go play soccer. My mom didn't want me to play football, so I played soccer. I played soccer in college. And now it's like, oh, taking headers, you're getting minor concussions. Like, what is going on here? Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm wearing a helmet and just hitting my head against walls. Like, I don't think we don't have to worry about every injury, but like the kids are going to be kids. So I still don't know where to go in that direction. Yeah. But as far as, did you continue playing baseball in high school, or was it just football?
Yeah, it was football in the fall, baseball in the spring, typical. Mm-hmm. This was kind of like before you got to the year-round travel leagues and everything, but
the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. Yeah, I could go on forever about that topic. Yeah. But it was football in the fall. I played basketball up through 8th grade. Okay. And then after that, I was, not very fast, not very tall, and couldn't jump very high. So basketball was not in my sport. Yeah, it put me in. Well, I was short though, so everyone was over top of me. So I would then just we had I think it was my junior year. We started like a weightlifting. It was weightlifting, and it actually might have been my senior year where we actually had like a weightlifting team. Okay. And we went and did like 1 or 2 competitions. Yeah. With the squat, bench, and deadlift. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How was it joining that? Did they just say offensive linemen or linemen need to go do weightlifting, or how'd you get brought into that?
I was just doing the weightlifting class, right? So our high school, you could do like PE, or you could do like weightlifting. Mm-hmm. So all the athletes would do weightlifting. Yeah. So in the wintertime, that's what we did. And then there would be an after school like weightlifting option. Nice. And so that team kind of naturally formed, and I love to compete and be in competition. So then I was like, oh, this will be fun to try. I mean, I'm already doing the weightlifting, right? So it was an interesting experience because you had to wear like the wrestling leotards to do it. Let's go. And I wasn't familiar with that. I'm like, okay, this is a little uncomfortable. But we competed. Yeah. I can't remember I couldn't even make up my lift amounts and what it was. It was so long ago. But it was fun. It was just a different way to compete.
I absolutely remember Excel Gym, Zach Kuzmanik, me and him were hitting the bar 45 pounds. Like, we're barely repping out that at the beginning of the class. And like by the end, we're putting on maybe 5s or 10s. And we're like, let's go. And there's guys doing good mornings at like 135. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah. I was at, side note on the weightlifting. So I was at the Vaughn Center one time. I'm just like, benching 135, just kind of staying in shape. And this guy next up, and I'm looking over, and he slides like his 5th 45 pound on each side.
Looking for the cameras.
And I'm like, what's going on? What is happening? I'm like, and he's a big guy. And I just stopped and I asked it turned out to be his dad. I'm like, can I just I don't want to be weird. Can I just watch? Because this is like the most impressive thing. I was doing the math. What's that? 5, that's 90 times 5, 450 plus the bar. So it's like 495.
Yeah. So if you have, 4 plates is 405. Yeah. So then add 95 on.
So it's 495. Yeah. It's about 495, 500, something like that. Yeah. And I just got talking to the guy, and he, he's like, oh yeah, me and my son, we used to be weightlifters. Or he still does it, and I used to do it. And they were like, competitive. I'm like, I've never seen anyone move. You see it on TV, but I've never seen it in person. And he did it. I want to say he just like knocked out like 3 or 4 reps. Like it was. I'm like, so I just like slid my 2 plates off. I'm like, I'll go to the other side of the gym. I think I've had enough. But.
Well, the funny thing is, I would say, like most people, when they start getting into lifting, it's like, oh, I'm going to look good for the chicks. And then after like maybe 6 months to a year, you're just trying to impress other dudes. No,
that's all it is.
Yeah, it's just other dudes that are getting me impressed.
That's when you end up, you get hurt. You're like, oh, this guy put 2 plates. I'm going to put 2 plates. And you get stuck on the bar and knocks you out. Yeah.
So as far as like eating and stuff went, as far as you said you were a lineman, did you feel as the coaches were like, hey, we need you bigger, we need you to eat more? Did they have any suggestions? What was going on there?
No, there was none of that really. Like it was weightlifting, right? They obviously wanted you to lift weights, but it was a smaller school.
Okay.
So it wasn't, we didn't play people that were like super big. There's a couple guys that we played and we're like, okay, that's a big guy. Like we could use to be a little bit bigger, but there was no like eating more. I mean, we ate good. We were linemen, right? Every Thursday before a game, we would drive to Old Country Buffet and just like chow down. I mean, we didn't miss a Thursday.
Yeah,
we would just chow down of just like the mini corn dogs and mashed potatoes, and like it was a competition on like one guy came back with a plate this high of ice cream, just like eating it. And so we ate good, but it wasn't like enforced like, hey, we got to get bigger. I don't think we weren't at like a high enough level to like, okay, we really gotta get some talent and some bodies and things like that.
What was your relationship with food growing up like through high school?
It was good. I mean, it was a lot of, I guess you'd call it the standard American diet, like burgers, bratwurst, steaks on Sunday, right? Spaghetti, mac and cheese, pasta, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of vegetables. My mom still doesn't eat a lot of vegetables. My dad's starting to eat more vegetables. And, since I've been married with kids, like I've started eating more vegetables just from that. But before that, it wasn't a ton of vegetables or anything. But always plenty of meat and plenty of cheese.
What would you say your body image of yourself was? I still remember in like 4th grade, a kid called me fat, and like I was, my thyroid stopped working. So like I started getting bigger, and I was 5'4", just like putting on weight. But at no time like was I ever, if I go back and look at images and like the way I've talked about myself, people are like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just had really bad thoughts of myself. Like how was it growing up?
It was fine for me. I was bigger, right? I was offensive lineman, so obviously I'd be a little bit bigger, but I think like I had the nickname through high school of, and actually there's some people that I went to high school with that probably don't even know my real name.
Yeah.
They just knew me as it was Big B. That was the nickname. It was because I was bigger.
Yeah.
And when I first moved to Sandwich, people thought my name was Brian.
Okay.
So then it just evolved into that. And I was just, I don't know, it's one of those nicknames you just kind of, like the F3 nickname. Mm-hmm. You just kind of embrace it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense after a while, or going back and explaining it. It's like, it's really hard to explain what it was, but actually up until last year, that was my license plate.
Okay.
From the time I was 16 until the time I was, 36. So for 20 years, I had that as my car license plate. So, but I don't think, I ever really thought about it much. It just is what it was.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be small and be a lineman.
Yeah.
So
this is my job. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my job.
Yeah. I played first base, so I didn't have to move outside of a 3-foot, window when you played first base. Yeah.
There you go. What was your favorite memory playing baseball?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. It involved the practices.
Okay.
And, there was this guy. I used to have this 1995 Dodge Ram. That was my first vehicle. Mm-hmm. And we used to have to drive from the high school, like go down this like lane that the high school owned, and then like out on a road, and then like down another lane to like this parking lot that was below the middle school. It's kind of all in one complex. And I had this radio, and we'd get like 9 guys in the back of the truck, and we'd just like slowly drive to practice. And I had one guy who would, every time he would dance, like he still talks about, he'll dance. He could do this like bat twirl, like in the batter's box. I was like, he could be like the guys in the parades, twirling and throwing stuff. And he would have me crank like the the late 90s, early 2000s hip hop, and he would just dance the whole way down there.
Yeah.
And just one of those moments like, okay, this is fun, right? You're having fun. Everyone's acting a fool, and then you'd start practice.
Yeah. No, and it's you don't realize it until it's gone, but it's like, hey, those times were great. It wasn't anything like extravagant, but hey, that was phenomenal.
It was a blast.
Hit me with your best football one.
Best football. Yeah, there's a lot of good memories. One of them involved. We had a cold practice. It was getting towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
and people were like cold. It was complaining about being cold. I think it was our freshman or sophomore year. And our coach is like, old school football coach. It's not cold out here. Are you kidding? He took off his sweater. He took off his jacket.
Yeah.
He took off he was down to just like baseball shorts and like no shirt in like 20-degree weather. He's like, this is football. It's not cold out here. You got to be tougher than that. Just yelling at us. I know that one always stuck. And we used to do, fun things where we would, in practice, we'd call a play, and the coach would be in the huddle, be like, all right, everyone's going to go after the one guy, right?
Yeah.
And everyone would just dogpile on top of them. And, or we'd, call a fake play where one guy messed up on purpose, and then coach would be run it again. And then we'd trick the defense and score a touchdown and embarrass them a little bit.
Yeah.
So just different things, fun. In football, it's similar to baseball, but in football you start. This is back when you had 2-a-days,
mm-hmm.
so you're with your teammate for 10 days of 2-a-days or whatever we had, and then you're practicing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, walk through Thursday, game Friday, practice Saturday. So you're with these guys every day, 6 out of the 7 days a week,
mm-hmm.
and so you just got to do silly stuff and have a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you mentioned you wanted to be like a math teacher. So going from high school to college, where did your path take you?
So it was a long path. Started as a math teacher. Wasn't really feeling like, I think it was like a calculus 2 class I was taking. I'm like, all right, like I did calculus in high school. That was cool. Yeah. Calculus 2 is intense. And I got to do like more of this. Like, all right. So I went to like business administration at the time, was working for a warehouse, just driving a forklift, then kind of became a team leader for that for a bit, like running a second shift for a little bit. Then flipped and went to a radio broadcasting school.
That's a big flip. How what took place there?
I don't know. It's kind of like how I've ended up in a few different things where it's just like, this kind of interests me.
Okay.
Like, I think I could be good at it. And so I went to the broadcasting school, which led to, I was like a weekend radio host in Rockford for like 8 months. And then I moved down to Jacksonville, Central Illinois.
What was it like being a radio host?
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was in Rockford. I was, like the Saturday night guy. Okay. Right. So it's just like playing party music as people got ready, right? When I moved to Jacksonville, I hosted like the morning show, doing like local news, sports, silly stuff like that. And then we also got to do like high school and local college sports, so baseball, football. We did volleyball, which is like one of the toughest things to like play-by-play call or color commentate call. What did we do? We did baseball, football, basketball, and volleyball. Yeah.
The volleyball seems tough. So I've since picked that up for the last 8 or so years, but I'm trying to think of it as like so-and-so hit the ball. So-and-so blocked it, hit the ground. The little barrel got it. Someone said it. And that's in 3 seconds. Like
it's in 3 seconds. Yeah. So there was one guy I worked with, and, I think last I heard, he's doing something for ESPN now, but he was good.
Yeah.
He was like the best. He had everyone memorized on the court. And he could hit the names and hit everything. And, but that was probably the toughest one. But it's fun. You do local community stuff, and it's kind of like this, and podcasts, and you play music and give them the weather and all that. Yeah.
So as I feel like your work schedule is the opposite of everybody else's schedule. What was your life like at that point, since you were doing all those things? When in Jacksonville, I was, my wife and I were dating, but she was still going to college, right? So I was working, and so it'd be like,
gosh, I'm trying to think. I think I got to the radio station like 4:30 in the morning. I was done by 12:30.
Oh, okay.
Or 11:30, right? So day's kind of over. I ended up going, when I was down there, I ended up going back to school. So then I would like in the afternoon drive, go to my 2 or 3 classes or whatever.
Yeah.
Go home, finish homework, and you know.
Were you playing any sports at college? No. So how did you fill that void of seeing your buddies every day, getting in the grind? How did you feel that?
There wasn't a ton of time, right? Because it was like work, school, like homework. Actually, interesting though, that's where I kind of like started working. I still don't enjoy running, but like that's where I started running.
Okay.
And kind of like, okay, I did, got to like my first 5K.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I ran my first 5K, maybe possibly in Jacksonville, but
really,
just started like swimming at the pool and getting into that.
Yeah.
And just doing like, random classes.
So how did you make the decision? Like, okay, like I was a lineman, but I'm gonna start running. I'm gonna start swimming. How did you get pulled into that?
I don't. I just kind of started doing it.
Yeah.
I was like, they say on TV this is good for you, and so even now I'm still running. I'm like, are they sure this is good? There's no easier way. I haven't swam in a while. That I really enjoy. Just real easy on the knees.
Yeah.
Easy on the body. But yeah, it took, I don't know, probably a few months, right, until where you kind of like enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of got to keep going. You get a little bit further the next time. And I always listen to music. So it's just a cool place to like tune in some music and kind of zone out for a while.
Yeah.
And I get a little competitive. So I'm like, okay, I got to beat my time from, when I ran it here.
Right.
It's interesting to be competitive against yourself versus like competitive against other people.
Yeah.
Which would hurt me in races because my times are never fast.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that race would start, I'd be like, okay, I'm up. And I'm like, I'm with the 8-minute group. Like this is too fast. And then I'm sure enough, like my last mile, I'm like, we're barely crossing the finish line.
Yeah.
But,
no, I'm with you going out too fast. As far as the eating and preparing food for yourself, how did that change for you in college?
It was a lot of just I had to kind of figure out how to make food on my own.
Yeah.
Right. Like I never, usually it was like, family meals or whatever and cooking. When I was in Rockford, I was just working at the, the radio station on like the weekends and the nights, and then also working at like Target at like, opening at like 4 a.m. or whatever at Target. And my apartment was just like a bedroom and an attic.
Okay.
And like, it had a microwave, right, and a sink. So there wasn't
a bedroom and an attic.
Yeah, it had a bathroom. It was like an old attic kind of converted with like a bedroom and a bathroom.
Yeah.
A little living room, and the kitchen was like a microwave.
Okay.
I had to go through the person's house to like get to the bedroom. It was basically, and they're like, well, you can use the kitchen. I was like, that's awkward. I'm going to be
right.
It's your house. You're there like watching TV. It's going to be weird to cook. So I would just do like microwave foods, which wasn't healthy. But it got me through it.
It was calories.
Right.
Yep,
it was
we
calories.
Made it.
And I would still come home a lot and eat dinner at home, or my wife was, going to NIU. So that was close. Right. So we go there. But then down in Jacksonville is when, it was an apartment that was an attic at one point. Yeah. Turned into an apartment, but it had a full kitchen at least.
Okay, nice.
And
we're moving on.
It had a full kitchen and a bathroom, and then like a spot. My bed was just a futon essentially, because I couldn't get a full bed in there. Yeah. So I had just a futon that was a couch, and I could fold it down. And so then it was like quick, easy stuff, right? Your typical, what was I, 21, 22 at the time. So like hamburger helper and whatever I could make quickly without a lot of effort. I did have a little grill. It lived upstairs, so I'd walk down and I had like a little grill that I could. So that's why I kind of started getting into grilling more and perfecting some of that.
I'm very excited about this next question. Yeah. Only a few people will understand. What was the most Rockford thing that ever happened to you in Rockford? Not necessarily to say that they have a bad rap, but
gosh, I don't know. I mean, it I didn't spend a ton of time like going out in Rockford.
Okay.
It was always kind of like, and I lived in Loves Park, but it was always kind of like, go to work, go to, because when I worked at the time, it was like 4 a.m. I had to be there.
Okay.
So you couldn't stay out too late, but definitely what was there was like one pizza place that's real popular over there, like Chicago pizza or something.
Okay.
I mean, that was probably the most Rockford thing. Actually, for me, it was Taco John's. Do you know what Taco John's is?
Yeah.
So that was like my favorite place.
Okay.
But it's only in Rockford. There's one in Bloomington, but you can't find them many other places. So
yeah.
I would always hit up there.
Hey, that's great. Yeah. You didn't get robbed. Nothing stolen. That's good news.
No, nothing like that happened. Nothing like that.
Whenever we'd play the Rockford team over there, it's like, all right, we're gonna stick together. Yeah. No one leaves, separates from the group, and then we're gonna go home.
Yeah. No, it was good.
Well, so what's our next move from there as far as being a broadcaster? What are we thinking about, and how do we get there?
Yeah, I was working in Central Illinois. I finished school. I went back to school for communications degree, 4-year degree. Finished that, and my wife and I got engaged. So I moved back up because we're from this area.
Yeah.
So we moved back up here, and was looking for kind of try to stay in radio, but and even still now not a ton of positions. I was like, so I found a job in corporate America, selling produce to a large grocery chain. So that was kind of my first quote unquote job out of college.
Give me the ins and outs of that, because we had a friend that she worked at Aldi, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this, That's doing
who I
that."
Sold produce to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she tried to describe her job, and I feel like I ask a lot of questions, but I still don't know what she was doing other than saying, "Can you get this to me cheaper?" Like I don't know what she was doing.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was what a lot of the produce was, right?
Okay.
Because it's such a fluctuating market that we sold a lot of strawberries, right?
Yeah.
So strawberries, are only on lines in certain regions at a certain time of the year.
Right.
So they might be, $5, right? It'd be complicated to explain exactly.
The numbers.
It might be $5, right? And then all of a sudden, this region comes online.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they have a ton of fruit.
Okay.
So price cuts in half.
Okay.
And then it's down to $2.50. So then people are like, well, I got this quote, and you got fruit on the truck, and you're trying to like balance.
Yeah.
And it's moving, and it perishes very quickly.
Right.
Strawberries, you have a very short window of when it's actually good for us. So, spring, summer is the peak growing season for strawberries out of like California, but you'll get some Florida ones.
So how do they get it from California here? I feel like just the process has got to take forever.
Yeah. So they pick it in the field. They'll pick it in the field and it'll be hot. So they have to like put it in some not barns, but like they have to cool it.
Yeah.
So they'll pick it, cool it, put it on the truck in the same day.
Oh, okay.
Pick it, wash it, cool it on the truck.
Yeah.
And it's being shipped to its destination. So from the time it's picked, so it'd be picked, cooled, shipped, say Tuesday night, it's going to reach Chicago probably, what's that one? Thursday, Friday, something like that. So
that's not bad.
No, it's quick. I mean, it moves quick, right? For strawberries and berries in particular, it has to move quick. You're going from the farm, call it Monday to the store probably by Friday, right? Because it'll ship to the distribution center, they unload it, and then the next morning they ship it out to their stores. Okay.
Is there any behind the scenes things that people would be surprised to hear about the fruit selling industry?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the vegetables like lettuce and all that stuff will come from Mexico.
Okay.
Watermelon is, watermelon doesn't have to be refrigerated. I guess, I don't know if everyone knows that, but they'll put that. Most fruit will have to ship on like a freezer truck.
Yeah.
Like I think strawberries, if I remember, has to ride at like 34 degrees.
Okay.
And they have to be tested at 34 degrees. when they deliver. But watermelon, when the growing season, they have these big trucks and it's just open air.
Okay.
And then the air keeps it cool enough.
Oh, interesting.
Apples will be picked and kind of stored in big sheds for a while and then bagged up and shipped to the stores.
Yeah.
I think that would probably surprise a lot of people.
What's that glaze that they put on an apple? Is there a glaze they try to keep the fruits, or is that just something that the people on the internet say?
I feel like that's something that people on the internet say. I mean, I could be wrong. We didn't sell a ton of apples.
Yeah.
Like, the apples was kind of a bigger, like, different shipper.
Okay.
I think the thing that would surprise a number of people is, sometimes the cucumber at a higher end, quote unquote, higher end grocery store and the cucumber at a lower end, the difference is a sticker.
Okay.
So.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. It seems that, like, if I go to Aldi, it's all coming from the same place, but does it get picked and then packaged somewhere else? How does it always look so continuous, but there's so many different sellers? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So like Aldi will sometimes have like when they have their like packaged peppers or whatever, the 3-in-1 pack, those are being packaged in Chicago.
Okay.
So that they're just shipping in the peppers and then they're getting packed in Chicago.
Okay.
So that's why those always look continuous.
Okay.
But unless you have, for the most part, like I won't say this is always, but unless you have like a name brand like Driscoll or what's the pineapple name brand that's real popular?
I want to say Chiquita Banana.
Yeah,
that's
Chiquita,
okay.
Right? Yeah, Chiquita Banana is good.
Okay.
Unless you have like the name brand.
Yeah.
Like typically, like those people will own the fields and own the fruit.
Yeah.
And have a different quality standard. But other than that, a lot of times it's just like
they're just resellers putting their own stickers on.
Well, not even resellers, just like it'll get picked at the field.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, this supplier is packaging them in that thing, and then this supplier is packaging them in that thing. So a lot of the fields are the same.
Did you ever deal with like small mom and pop places, or they just don't have a place in the business to the big places?
In terms of like fields and stuff?
Yeah.
Some of the fields are probably owned by smaller people than you think, but then they combine and like go to like one shipper to then package it and ship it out and sell it. Yeah.
That's good to hear. I like it. I like it.
Now there's big players involved, and small may be relative, right? It's not like they got like 50 acres, right? Like compared, it might be 500 acres compared to some that have 5,000 acres, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
So we're doing that job. May or may not be loving it. How did you make a decision to change or move?
Yeah, so I actually it was 13 years today is when it happened. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Okay.
I was working at the corporate job. I had been there for, let's see, so this was 2012 I got diagnosed. So I had been there for like a year and a half at that point. And like, the diagnosis was pretty big, and it's like life-changing, right? You got to like figure out how to eat and count carbs and think about all this stuff. And I wasn't really enjoying, the corporate world per se, right? This was like well before pre-COVID, when I was in the office every day and just meetings. And it's like, okay, this is not my thing. But their whole push at this company I worked for was to build your own business, which I really was like, well, I really like that aspect of it. Like you get a chance to like
at the food distribution place they were suggesting build your own business.
Yeah, that was kind of their motto because it wasn't food distribution. It was a third party company.
Okay.
Where you would go out and build your own network of suppliers and shippers and things like that to then service the customer. So they really pushed to like build your own business internally, right? To then work for the company, like build your own book of like truckers, right?
Gotcha.
That you could call to pick up the product and ship and all that sort of stuff. So I like that aspect of it. And I was like, well, I'd like to start my own business. And then I was like, oh, real estate seems like it could be a way to start my own business. And my wife bought me the book and the class for my birthday that April. And, took the class and passed the test, and then that's how I ended up in real estate.
So as far as when you get the diagnosis, what was going through your mind? Do you talk to anybody about it? What's the scenario?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I did go see. There was like my endocrinologist had like a mental health professional therapist that worked with people, especially newly diagnosed people. So I like talked to her for like 6 months, and because it's just like I was in, I was 24, right, and I had just so this happened in December. In August, I had just finished a half marathon.
Okay.
Right. So I went on this journey of hating running, 5K, 10K. Okay, I'm gonna do a half marathon.
Yeah.
I finished it.
Why.
And I had lost a lot of weight, and I'm like, okay, I'm losing this weight because I'm training for a half marathon. After work, I'm running 6 miles, whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm like the healthiest I've ever been.
Right.
I'm 24, and then I was at a Packers game up in Green Bay, and I was getting sick, and ended up in the ICU in Green Bay.
Was this cheese related or?
No, it was diabetic ketoacidosis.
Okay.
So turns out the reason I was losing all that weight was because my body wasn't using sugar properly for energy, and I had to get energy from somewhere, and it was doing that by eating the fat cells. And so my body was basically eating itself and losing weight.
Okay.
And so I had started, and it was a boys trip, right? So we're having some drinks. I'm like, I don't feel good. So I'm like, I drank too much on the first night. Wake up the next morning, I'm like still sick.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got the flu or something. Missed the game.
No.
My buddies go to the game.
Might have been the last time they won for a while.
This was 13 years. They actually lost that game.
Oh well.
It was against
par for the course.
it was against the Steelers. So, my buddies went to the game. They come back. I'm still sick. They're like, all right, we're gonna go to dinner. I come back. I'm still sick. Now I'm like, I'm kind of having trouble breathing. So and it was a snowstorm. So they drove me in 6 inches of snow to find the ER, and I spent 2 days in the ICU. From that point on. So I had to call, my buddy had to call my wife, and my dad picked her up at 3 a.m. and drove through a snowstorm to get to the hospital, and so no one really knew what was going on.
Really? So they didn't have certain signs that were like, oh, it's diabetes, that they had to run a bunch of tests.
They had to do tests, and I think my blood sugar levels were 490.
Okay.
When I got in there, and there's a bunch of other markers because my body, all these other levels were high. And all this stuff. So they had to get the blood sugar down and start insulin, and it was a whole thing. So I was in the ICU for 2 days. Got on Christmas morning that year.
Ooh,
from the hospital.
Hey, that's a good Christmas, getting out of the hospital. As far as the immediate changes to your lifestyle, what did you have to start putting in place?
Counting carbs, for one, right? Because all carbs convert to blood sugar, right? So I had, to figure out, okay, I need to take this many units of insulin for this many carbs, right? And then even some things like chicken will break down and cause your blood sugar to rise.
Yeah.
It's not carbs, but the protein and how that breaks down. So just trying to manage how many carbs are actually in something, and I didn't eat pasta for 6 months because I was very carb heavy, and cutting out pizza, and then I could eat the same thing every day with the same amount of carbs, and my body would react differently to it depending on stress and am I sick and all of this. So just even now it's been 13 years and it's still it's an everyday kind of management system. So.
What type of monitoring system did you have back then? Because I feel like now they're pretty on top of it, but back then, did you have to do prick test?
I had the finger pricks, right? I got quickly onto a insulin pump.
Oh, okay.
Which came with a monitoring system. I was
nice.
I went and saw and got on it as quick as I could. Right?
Okay.
I think it happened in December. I want to say I had it by February. Right?
Nice.
I was I just need this. So that monitoring system was good. I bounced through a few ones, but it did the trick. It was much better than, you hear stories about people in the 70s, 80s, and they just kind of had to take a shot every day.
Yeah.
They took one shot every day, and if they felt like they passed out, okay, I need to eat sugar, but they would never know the highs.
Yeah.
Where now it's super dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
So
as far as what they said about lifestyle, did they say losing weight is good, still eat carbs? What did they say? Or was it pretty much just we want your blood sugar levels at this?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important thing. Obviously, weight management helps. From things I've read, it's a little tricky because insulin it's a hormone that also causes like weight gain a little bit.
Okay.
Right. Because insulin's a hormone. That's why you'll see bodybuilders and weight, they'll take little injections of insulin to beef up their midsection, right? When they're getting ready for a competition. Which I don't really recommend. Like, I don't know why you would
if
do
it's
that.
not prescribed.
Yeah. But I haven't seen people, but I've heard and seen some documentaries. So it adds a little weight gain. But then, I mean, you got to try to limit the carbs. The little amount of carbs you can have, the better.
But do they say no carb or just limit carbs?
They don't really give advice either way on it. They just, hey, if you eat carbs, here's your ratio. And now it's all saved in my insulin pump. So I just type in how many carbs. Okay. At least for now. The next iteration of the insulin pump to upgrade, it'll basically act as an exterior pancreas. There's one already out on the market, but the pump I have, it'll have, algorithms and calculations, and then I can just eat and let it know I'm eating. Yeah. And then as my blood sugar rises, it'll increase stuff, and then as it comes down, it'll decrease. Wow. And so that's the next. I thought it was supposed to be out by now, but I think they're still waiting on FDA approval for it. Yeah.
Hey, all right. We're here for technology. Yeah. Like with it, this has helped out life very much. Yeah. So when that's going on, is there any like negative self-talk, like why me, or it's more of just like we're going through it?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely went through that. Okay. Like I struggled with it for a while. 'Cause it's, I think for a couple of reasons. One, like, my whole body was out of whack. Like it had been eating itself and it wasn't properly getting energy and storage. And like, so I think as it kind of like came back to itself, it just, that your blood sugar like regulates so much in your body. Yeah. And it's affected by so many things in your body. So there was that, but yeah, it definitely like hit a point where it's like, man, this really, it was a struggle. Just not only trying to figure it out, but why did this happen? Like, 'cause I'm very much a person where like, I can handle something if like, okay, I know the why. Okay, this happened. Cool.
That's why we like math.
Yeah, that's why we like math. This happened. Okay, here's why it happened. Okay, like how do I go forward from it? But like, the doctors are like, yeah, we don't really know what causes this. Like, I mean, we know how it happens, right? Yeah. Your insulin producing cells in your pancreas are attacked by your body because they think it's a virus. So they attack and kill it and you don't produce insulin, but we don't know why. Yeah. Right. Like, and they still don't know that answer. And the doctor's like, yeah, we're seeing a rise of it, but like nobody knows why. And it's like, okay, and I've talked to people where it's cause it happened to me really late in life, right? Like I was 24. Yeah. Type 1 is juvenile diabetes because it usually happens when you're, 6, 8.
More of like a DNA thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're like, yeah, when it happens to adults, it's usually about this age, and it's usually they find out exactly how you found out. Like just, because no one thinks I should go get tested for, type 1 diabetes. So, yeah.
So what are you doing as far as with those negative thoughts? Do you write them down? Do you talk to your wife about it? Do you have a group of friends? How do you deal with those things?
I was a little bit of like the mental health professional.
Okay.
Right? Talk through that and just kind of like, okay, and just reframing conversations. But a lot of it was, I kind of went from like, like I said, like not running to half marathon to like, okay, now I have diabetes. I can't work out to like, well, I could still work out. Right. And then I went and, just started doing like some bigger workout things, as like more of a challenge.
So how does the type 1 diabetes affect working out? It's you need to fuel properly, or you need to have posts. Like break that down for me.
It affects everyone differently, which is the frustrating part, right? Because so for me,
it sounds like not a lot is known about this.
Yeah. So for me, well, it's just how people's body reacts, right? Yeah. So for me, when I work out, like my blood sugar will go down. Okay. Right? And if I'm running or swimming or like higher.
If your blood sugar is going down, that means that your body is using that blood sugar for fuel, or what system?
There's less blood sugar in the body to be used for fuel. So when I work out, like the insulin is more sensitive, so it works quicker and it uses up the sugar inside quicker. And then when you get low blood sugar, there's no like energy to feed the cells.
Gotcha.
Sugar feeds the cells.
Faint.
Yeah, that's where you can pass out. Gotcha. So like when I do like more cardio stuff, it kind of goes down somewhat fairly quickly. So then I gotta like eat the carbs, right? The little gummy chews, whatever. Weightlifting, it'll go down, but not as much. But then depending on like if I get my heart rate too high, then afterwards I'll spike up high, and then I have to correct.
And that's just your body being super stressed. So I'm going to produce a bunch of it. Like, hey, something's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but
just maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it's
just what
for
happens.
whatever reason, the blood sugar goes up because, probably because when I'm low, I'm eating the carbs, and then as I go down, my insulin pump lowers the insulin amount.
Gotcha.
So then I eat. Now I got less insulin in my body and more sugar, so then it spikes up. And then just how the stress level is after the workout, it takes a while to go back down. So now for some people, it'll go, it may go up when they work out. Right? There's no like exact answer, but that's how mine reacts. So you just get lots of carbs. Like when I did some triathlons or like the half marathon, a lot of those little gummy chews or the little the gel gel things, because those are like easy to eat and they have 10 or 15 carbs or something like that.
So when you said you wanted to do bigger like fitness type things, what were those goals that you set for yourself?
It was I went and did like a half triathlon. I'm trying to think of the exact years, but it would have been around. Well, I started back out running again, and I think I did another half marathon.
Okay, nice.
And finished that, and then I was like, okay, these are kind of boring. Like, I'm just running for 13 miles. So there was a little small half triathlon, which was a half mile swim, 18-mile bike, I think, and then a 5K.
Nice.
So I did that.
Yeah.
And I did that like 3 years in a row. I'm like, okay, this is kind of boring. Like, I've done the distance, right? And so I jumped up to, I guess you would call it the Olympic.
Yeah, so they got sprint, Olympic, half Ironman, and then after that they're just
so the
ridiculous.
first 3 were sprints, and then it was the Olympic version.
Yeah. Just in case you didn't know, there is such a thing as a super sprint.
Okay.
And I accidentally signed my wife up for that with me. And now I don't take care of any of those things anymore because we found out the week before we were having dinner with my mom in Oak Park when they lived there. And they're like, oh, hey, next week, do you want to come down on Saturday, stay over? Like, we'll get carbs or whatnot the night before so you don't have to drive far into the city. I'm like, our race is on Saturday, Mom. Like, what are you talking about? So we go look at the email. And it's maybe like a 250-meter swim. Yeah. It's a 14-mile bike and like 3.1, like it's maybe like 1.5-mile run. And I'm just like, oops. Oh, we did very minimal training. I think it took like 47 minutes or like 50 minutes in total. But I'm like, I didn't even know that was an option. Yeah. My favorite part about it was though, I signed us up for the friends and family division. Yeah. And right after us was the divvy bike division. So just going into the water, we passed like 10 people. It's like, okay, well, it's an option. Yeah. So what do you pick up after that?
So I'm trying to think. So I did the Olympic version, which like crushed me. It crushed me because, it was in Wisconsin.
Okay.
The night before the race, the buoys deflated.
Oh, nice.
And then they moved. So I got out of the water and I'm like, this took me like 15 minutes longer than it should have.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm gassed.
Yeah.
And everyone's getting out of the water like, man, that took a really long time. Why? Turned out the buoys moved, and instead of the 0.9 miles, I swam 1.2 miles.
Okay, so the half Ironman right there.
Which is a big difference.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and then it was in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, and the hills in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin are not the hills that are in Iowa.
Right.
Like there's no hills.
Yeah.
And those hills, I mean, I walked the 10K. So I'm like, I got nothing. nothing left in the tank. But we crossed the finish line. So then after that, I was like, took a break, and then like COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and I go through these periods of like, like I was running. All right, now I'm kind of bored with that.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm kind of bored with that. So then COVID hit, and that was kind of just tough to get out and do stuff. And
right.
Then, and shortly after that is when I came across F3.
Who got you?
He came to one workout. I don't even know his name. I used to do some work with him. He came to one workout. He texted me. He's like, "Hey, you should check out this group.
Yeah.
You'd really like it." I go, "Oh, are you gonna come?" He's like, "No, I won't go again, but you would really like it." And I went the next day, and that was 2021.
Okay,
it's been ever since. So
yeah.
What
was your first introduction to it? Like, what did you think right off the bat?
I thought it was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
but it was. It was fun, right? It's kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So I'd been doing the running and the triathlon training. It's like you're kind of by yourself all the time. You go out on a bike ride for 15 miles. Like, all right, you're just in your own head after a while. So just getting out and it's the workout was tough because it kind of was coming off this COVID kick where I wasn't working out a ton. So like it was tough in that respect. And then
what location were you at? Because where do you live in Yorkville still?
No, I live in Sugar Grove.
Oh, you live in Sugar Grove.
So
okay,
we had already been in Sugar Grove at the time, so it was the Bulldog right across from Batavia High School.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they really always like to run that third mile lap.
Yeah, yeah. That's what it was actually. That third mile was like a workout. Third mile.
Yeah.
It was cold, and then I showed up the next day, and I hadn't run in a while, and then did the 5K right around the Fabian Loop.
Okay,
at Challenge Point. So, but I was pretty hooked from there.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. As far as being a realtor, what was your first sale of a house like compared to kind of where things are now?
It was good. I mean, it was probably the smoothest sale I've ever had, right? Compared to how things go. And it was different, right? Because back then there was a lot of houses available. Buyers had options. So buyers kind of felt comfortable, shopping around a little bit and making a decision, which is nice, right? They didn't feel like, okay, I have to see this house and buy it today or it's gone tomorrow. So it was good. We, still talk to the guy. He actually sent me, this was, I guess this was, 10 years ago now, but he sent me the Bears beat the Packers. He made sure to let me know about that. So, yeah.
So as far as the, not necessarily the housing quality, but just as far as like the environment goes, what has changed the most in, is realty the word?
Yeah. Real estate. I think in our area, like in the suburbs of Chicago, it's just the inventory levels are still low.
Yeah.
Not enough was built. People have really low interest rates, right? And then when this COVID boom happened, kind of a building boom had already started and was starting up again, right? Because we needed more housing. And a lot of it happened in Texas and Tennessee and Florida and other parts of the country. We built here, right? It's not like we didn't build anything, but we didn't build enough. Nor was there enough planning to build enough. So it's really become like there's just not a lot of options.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people moving. But there's a lot of people that want to buy.
Yeah.
Right. So when that happens, right, and you got to look at the year overall, because right now it's slower. People don't want to. If you buy a house now, you might have to move in January, and there could be 20 below zero.
Yeah,
which is the worst. You don't want to move when it's 20 below zero. So just the not a lot of options.
Yeah,
right. And if you follow national trends, you'll see especially news media house prices are down, sales are down, which is true, but prices are down nationwide because of pockets in Florida and Texas and Tennessee where they're dropping really good. Our prices are still up. And that's just because of the lack of inventory.
Yeah.
Right. And naturally our sales are going to be down because I think the last stat I saw, there's 40 to 50% less houses coming for sale now than there was like 5 years ago.
So who gets to decide whether or not we build 500 to 1,000? Like who gets to decide whether inventory grows in a city? We'll say in Sugar Grove or wherever you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like who's out there doing like, hey, if we had 1,000 houses, like this is going to be good for us. Or like, hey, we're going to add 200 houses. The houses are going to sell at a premium, so we don't really need to do a lot. Like what's happening there?
Well, you got to have a city that wants it. Right?
Okay.
Obviously, there's got to be land.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why we're seeing in the western suburbs, in the south, like that's the only land.
Right.
You can't go to Downers Grove and build 1,000 houses.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be the land. The city has to approve it first. First you have to find a developer.
Okay.
Right. That's like, okay, I think, and these developers are Fortune 500 companies.
Right.
They're gonna do they have targets, right,
mm-hmm.
of where they want to be, and then they'll contact the city, and then it has to go through this whole approval process of, yes, the city wants it, no, the city doesn't, right? And there's a lot of in Sugar Grove, there's been a lot of like contentious like city council meetings,
mm-hmm.
all the way up through St. Charles of like, no, we don't want this development. Yes, we do, right? And people that live in the cities can voice their opinions, and then the board of trustees or whoever for that city has to vote on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think right now, if we can find the land, there's probably developers that want to do it.
Okay.
It has to make sense because you can't build too quick. That's
Yeah.
what happened in 04, 05. Everyone built too quick.
Yeah.
And then there was too much. But in this area, I think the last stat.
Wait, so what do you mean by too much? Like there wasn't enough people buying, or the prices weren't there to make it worth 30% like gross? Like what do you mean by too much?
Yeah. So, like in 04, 05, too much. Yeah. I mean, the prices went up so quickly, and then builders were just building like crazy. And then, when prices started dropping, then they couldn't sell them because they had too much money into them. Right.
Gotcha. So they're building it, and they're looking at their costs as if I sold today, and it's their margins aren't as big as
and they were building, like a lot of these builders were building, and then no one was buying.
Oh,
like
really?
We hit a flip pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't in real estate at that point, but they were having inventory, and then all of a sudden, like, no one was really buying.
Okay.
So then there was too much inventory. But
Yeah.
they were already kind of committed to, like, we're building, and so it just became a weird situation. But again, there was definitely pockets that were affected in the suburb, but some pockets weren't affected as much as like other parts of the country.
Mm-hmm. As far as lack of inventory, do you see a lot of private equity or people that have multiple homes that are just buying them so that they can rent them out, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, there's a number of investors that was really popular probably in the COVID areas when interest rates were almost nothing, 3.5%. Anymore, there's people that will do it, but they're not. It's not as popular.
Okay,
because if you're an investor, your interest rates, probably in the 7s or 8s, and it's just really tough to kind of make money with that high interest rate.
Gotcha.
Especially with the tax amount and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So that was more of a less that they're here to just grab land, and it's just at this point this was the financial instrument that they were using and they saw an advantage of.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I thought it was just, we're gonna get as many houses, we're gonna boost the price, and then we're just gonna rent it to people forever.
Yeah. No, I mean there are, and again I think there's not no areas that are doing that here. Like there's subdivisions that are being built specifically to rent.
Okay.
You see there's one in Aurora, couple in Oswego.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's happening, but like the private equity funds that are, you see buying up all these houses. I'm hearing of that more in other states.
Yeah.
Where their tax bill is not going to be, $10,000.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
So
I'm pretty sure the guy that we rent from, he owns like 8 units in here.
Yeah.
and he has a woman run these because he has a bunch of other houses too.
Yeah. Yeah. And these, you'll have people that do that.
Yeah.
Especially if they locked in interest rates 4 or 5 years ago. It's just tougher to do now.
Yeah, for sure. So if you were to, I wouldn't necessarily say fix the housing market, because I feel for the buyer, if you want prices down, that generally means the economy is not doing well. But I think a lot of it is out of reach for a lot of people younger these days. Like, what are you seeing needing to happen? We can wave a magic wand. Not saying like
we just need to build a bunch more houses.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? So it's not so much that prices are high in this area, but they're high, and when you especially come in a couple months in springtime, there's 4 or 5 other families that are also offering on that home. So then it's a bidding war. And then like, do I want to get into it? And then that's when people kind of go higher, because it's like, well, I've been looking for 6 months and I haven't seen anything. Like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And you just get kind of crazy with it.
And are most the buyers above 30, above 40? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of buyers now that are, the boomer age, right? Whether they sold a house and are having cash, or they're looking to downsize. And then millennials are pretty. I think they're the largest buying generation right now. Yeah, yeah. So they're coming into that. So what's that? There's into the 30s.
Okay.
What's after millennials?
Hey, that's a good question.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in 2018 I made a mistake. My wife's like, "Oh, we should buy." I was like, "Oh no, like we'll rent for a little bit." And I think our rent was like $1,200 a month, and then buying, I think our mortgage would have been like $1,000 or something like that. I was like, "Yeah, we made a mistake."
Best time to buy real estate's always 5 years ago.
Yep. So, yeah, absolutely. So as far as what's going on in your life now that you're either working on or excited about?
Yeah. I think the big thing is just like, spending time with the kids.
Okay.
Right. Which actually I gotta run and get my daughter here soon, but I've been coaching. I coach softball, coaching t-ball for my son. I gotta go pick up my daughter here from gymnastics, watching her just excel in that.
Yeah.
It's just fun to see him grow. Right. And then be able to coach them, while they still let me. And, they're getting their personalities. So they're 8, 6, and 4. So, they're going to school and having friends and just being in that stage of life. And, we're traveling now a lot with them and getting them to experience things.
Yeah.
And, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You always, when you become a parent, you're like, okay, this is going to be fun. And then until you and then it's stressful, right? Because it's the baby to 2, you're like,
yeah.
I mean, you got to do everything. Even now I feel like my daughter's so I do everything, right?
Yeah.
But when they start to get friends and a personality, and you get to see their likes, and then, my daughter has gotten into gymnastics and I've seen her improve and and excel in it. Yeah. Which is really cool to see. Okay, she's doing the front handspring almost now, right? Or the stages too,
right?
Where I could remember her just doing a little cartwheel. So to kind of see that progression, that's got me really excited. Yeah, because it's cool to see them find something they're passionate about, and then that they enjoy doing. Yeah, right. Because I don't want to take them to a sport, and then they hate it. Yeah, and then I'm just there because it's well, I want you to play it. Right. Right. That's not fun. Yeah. So just seeing them enjoy it and the crazy stuff that they come back from school and tell you, it's just what the heck are you talking about?
What is going on?
What is going on? Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, we'll wrap things up with the last 2 questions everyone gets. Yeah. What's your definition of health? Not necessarily the dictionary definition, but what is health to you?
I think health is just, I think it's a little bit of a quality of life, right? Obviously, I kind of think sometimes it's okay, I could eat perfect. I could, never have a drop of whiskey or, ever, perfect, healthy diet. But, is that always enjoyable? Right. I like the saying of, everything in moderation, including moderation. Right. Yeah. So I eat healthy, right. And I try to focus, but sometimes I just want to go get a dozen chicken wings and a tall beer. Yeah. Right. And I think you have to have kind of a little bit of a balance and not just be no, it's only, fish and vegetables and that's all I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
And, no anything. So, yeah.
For sure. And then what's something from your life that people listening to the podcast would be able to take away as a positive?
Oh man, that's a good question. I like that one. I think just kind of like, try things out, like, go for it. Right. I kind of, like I said, I bounced around to like, radio and then school and then, now into real estate. And, I think, and I talk to people about this, like, I feel like I wish our system could change where at 18, you didn't have to decide what you want to do the rest of your life. Like you're at 17, you got to decide where you want to go to college, what you want to study, what you want to major in. Well, 10 years later, like what if that's different? Right. So I think, I've bounced around to a number of different things. And I think if you could just like try that, like if you don't like something, like don't stay miserable for the rest of your life. Like just switch it up a little.
I think that's very important.
So, and it doesn't, in the scheme of things, like it doesn't matter that, I did all this work, and now I don't like it, but I got to stay with it because I've done, who cares? You could change things.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying like go quit your job and like sell everything or whatever, but at a certain point, and it probably ties into the health thing, like you got to enjoy it. And, it's okay to change.
Yeah. Shit. I like that a lot. I think that's important for a lot of people to hear. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Wonderful.